ever considered that we are living in a unique time, that something world-changing is about to happen, and that it might concern you? If so, you're in the right place. Keep listening, and you'll hear thought-provoking views behind the news that point to a new and better future for all. Many people now sense that humanity is not alone. So consider this. If the Christ or the Buddha walked among us today as modern men, would we recognize them? What would they be saying? And most importantly, would we listen? Every Sunday on this program, Share International Radio will examine extraordinary events that are unfolding behind the headline news. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for. And now, welcome to this week's show.
Yes, welcome indeed to all our listeners. You are listening to Share on the Air Radio. I am your host for this week, Diana Gold Holland. And with me, I have Annemiek van Nijnanten, a natural healing therapist. Hello, Annemiek. Let me let us give our listeners a little bit of background about you. We have done a previous show with Annemiek, who is a natural healing therapist in Holland who specializes in therapies for highly sensitive children. So the previous show was called Welcome the Little Ones, and we talked then about how the energies of Maitreya are influencing the awareness of children today. And during that program, we talked quite a bit about parenting and education, which topics we will further expand today. We're going to talk about the 4 basic things that children need to flourish in life. We're going to talk about what it means to be a true teacher today and how to develop 2 very important things, self-esteem and trust, in both children and parents or teachers. But before I welcome back Annemiek, let me briefly go over the premises of our show, Share on the Air Radio, for our new listeners. These premises are 3. First of all, that humanity is not alone. Second of all, that we have great help at this very crucial time for the evolution of humanity and the history of humanity. And 3, that form comes in the help of great teachers, perfected masters of wisdom, who are emerging now onto the world scene to help and guide us during this perilous crossing. And at their head stands the Lord Maitreya. I will spell that for you, Maitreya, the master of all the masters, and also the world teacher for this age, the age of Aquarius that is just now dawning. At the beginning of every age, humanity sends up a cry to the divine, by whatever name you might call it, a cry for help and sustenance, because the energies change from age to age, and we need a new keynote to be sounded. The last keynote came with Jesus the Christ for the age of Pisces, but there have been a whole string of such world teachers who have come all down the ages. We know them as Mithra, Shankaracharya, the Buddha, etc., all of these great teachers from great ages. Maitreya comes now at the head of the age of Aquarius, and he is expected by all the great religions under their name. So the Christ for the Christians, the Messiah for the Jews, the Imam Mahdi for the Muslims, Krishna returned for the Hindus, etc. He comes as all of these ones, enveloping the principle of love on this planet, the Christ consciousness on this planet, but he also comes for people of no religion at all. He comes as a modern man concerned with modern problems of starvation, problems of peace, problems of the environment, all of these things that with which we hang in the balance just now. He is here to guide us, and he comes not alone this time, but with a group of several other masters to fulfill this mission. So, these are the premises. As ever, we provide this information for your consideration only. If it awakens your curiosity, if you want to find out more about the emergence of Maitreya onto the world scene, With these other great masters, we invite you to visit our Facebook page, Share on Air Radio North America, or the website www.share-international.org, where you will literally find a treasure trove of resources. So, that said, let's take a slight pause here and welcome back our guest, Annemiek van Nijnanten from Holland. Hello, Annemiek.
Hi. Hi, Diane.
Good. Listen, let's get right down to it. What do children and teenagers need to flourish?
The first thing children and teenagers, and in fact all of us need, is an atmosphere of love. And by that I mean that the adults are sensitive to the children and are aware that they are emotional persons with a lot of feelings, with a lot of ideas, and they have to feel they can be whoever they are and be whatever they are. They are accepted the way they are without prejudice.
Okay.
And if they are living in an atmosphere of love, the very positive thing is, they don't have a cause for timidity or to be shy or to be cautious. They just feel they can express themselves the way they want to. They can ask the questions they want to. They can, express themselves just the way they are.
Uh-huh. At their relative stage of development, which can also often be very charming. So that's the first thing. They need an atmosphere of love. What else?
Yeah. The second thing is they really need an atmosphere of patience. And helaas, in the world of today, patience is not always the greatest gift of the adults. We live in a world which has a lot of pressure. Adults have to work a lot, do a lot, never have time to be patient, and a child may feel the sense of speed, and it may stress them. And it's very important to allow the child to grow and to flourish, that it feels it has all the time to learn the things he wants to learn, all the time to say the things he wants to say, because the adults have all the time in the world. And in fact, we do all have all the time in the world.
Well, we do, but it often feels like we're short of time, short of sleep, short of attention, short of too many things. And I know that a lot of, especially mothers, can feel guilty about this if they happen to snap at their child. But I think that if overall there is this calm attention, obviously this makes for the child to be able to expand and be themselves. So love, patience, and what else?
What's important very much too is an atmosphere of ordered activity. And what I mean by that is that a child from the first day on can be learned a sense of responsibility. Not a great responsibility, just a little one he can accept on his age. And by doing that, it will really feel it's part of this world. It's very important to the world, even though it's very little still. And it can feel this responsibility. Yeah?
Uh-huh. So you mean things like having perhaps little chores that the child is responsible for in this ordered activity. Is that what you mean, that kind of thing?
Yes, maybe. Or just learning the responsibility to listen to others, to have respect for others. Uh-huh. Like the adults have respect for her or him.
Okay. And you say there is a fourth condition as well.
Yeah. The fourth condition is the atmosphere of understanding. And by that I mean that a child is always sure that his reasons and his motives for actions will be recognized. Because if you don't recognize them, you may think, well, the child is naughty. It's doing things it's not allowed to do. But that's our view. And normally a little child has no reason to be naughty. It just is curious. It wants to study things. It wants to try out things. So it will touch everything it can touch. It will maybe, well, when they're very little, they put everything in their mouth. That's not naughty. It's learning. It's their way of learning. And if you understand how a little child learns, by touching, by tasting, by maybe making all kinds of sounds or yelling or running, if you understand that, it feels it can do it. It can express itself and try out and learn things in its own way, in its own time.
Right. This ever need to experiment, to experience life starts, that young. Benjamin Creme, whose works we discuss very often because he has been our main source of information about the emergence and has written many, many books in collaboration with one of the Masters of Wisdom, his own Master of Wisdom, with whom he was in contact 24/7. Benjamin Creme gave the definition of education as this. He said, education should be understood as the means by which the indwelling God is contacted, known, and given expression.
Yes, isn't that beautiful?
I think so too. It gives it a different perspective. When your child is taking the pots and pans out of the lower cabinets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, I believe, is in one of Mr. Creme's books called The Laws of Life, which covers very, very many topics, including some to do with New Age education. So I recommend that book to you. You can find it in the book section of the Share International website. That is www.share, S-H-A-R-E, -international.org. There are many, many books there and many other books that Mr. Creme has penned that do touch on education as well. We'll be talking more about that on the other side of the break, and we will be talking then about what education is like and what it could and should be like to best foster the interests of the child, understanding that child as a soul in incarnation. So that will be our topic on the other side. And I think that I'd like to give you one other definition from Mr. Creme's works. This one is from the book called The Gathering of the Forces of Light. And that book is a very interesting one. In the whole second section of that book, Mr. Creme talks about education in the New Age. And he talks about our sense of our knowledge growing, our awareness growing in the coming age. And as we come into contact with our own souls more generally. He says that a new vista of possibilities will soon appear as men grapple with the problems of separation and division in the world, and this will release the forces and inspire the techniques of training and teaching which will bring men in due course to the feet of God. So providing this stable environment for children with love, patience, ordered activity, and understanding is very much a basis of that. And I thank you for highlighting those points, Annemiek. They are absolutely crucial to the discussion. Yeah. So perhaps, as I said, we'll come back on the other side of the break and talk about the possible role of education, the vistas awaiting it in the coming age. Stay with us then. on Share on the Air Radio North America.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
Now there's a book about UFOs that stands out. British author Benjamin Creme has worked directly with the Space Brothers and writes about their spiritual mission in The Gathering of the Forces of Light, a truly inspiring book. Visit shareontheairradio.org for details. That's shareontheairradio.org. shareontheairradio.org.
Hey everybody, Rachel Ray here. Nothing brings a bigger smile to my face than cooking up a big meal for the whole family and lots of friends. But there's not enough room at my table for the 17 million kids in our country who struggle with hunger. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food to give hope to hungry kids. But they can't do it without your help. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. This is Diana Gold Holland, your host today on Share on the Air Radio North America, and my guest today on part 2 of Education and Children in the New Age is Annemiek van Nijnanten from Holland. So there's a quote that I had, Annemiek, that in spite of universal education processes and many centers of learning in every country, we have not yet succeeded in giving our young people the kind of education which will enable them to live wholly and constructively. Now, why is that?
That's because the education up till now has primarily been the organizing of the lower mind. We learn a lot of facts in the schools. We do a lot of memory training. And the facts may not even be real, but it's from the perspective of our society as they read it down. So it's not based on life, it's based on learning of the past, learning the past as our educators and our country sees it, and not putting any consequences on it, just learning the facts. Formerly, you remember at school we had to learn in what year, what happened. Well, I really didn't remember any year because it seemed of no importance to me. Good education, real education, has to deal about life. How to live a life, what's important in life, how to connect with other people, how to live with respect for other people and for yourself, and how to get the possibilities of living all your possibilities. And that would be lovely, because up till now I think a lot of potential is wasted. I think when children are born, they really know what they come to do here. They really know what they're here for. But as they all follow the same system of education, I think when they're about 18 years old or maybe earlier, they've totally forgotten what they came to do here. And then we only hope that their parents give them more space to grow.
Well, of course, there's a problem with that because in some ways we have, or at least up until now, we've very much been educated to be good little workers and especially good little consumers. And so this is not really how to deal with life and relationships and growth and spiritual seeking and all that kind of thing. So there's an issue there. And even in terms of this historical learning, I mean, if we had looked at the First World War, for example, there's a big celebration of Vimy, 100 years now, 100 years celebration. And yet, have we looked at the First World War in the larger picture to see what the very big results and consequences are of that, and what purpose did it serve aside from those so many people, dying, and especially to learn from the past and figure out how we can handle things better today, and especially with the situation that we are encountering today with all these wars and threats of wars happening. So we really, I believe, I agree with you completely that we need to take a different tack in education. But I think some things are changing. If we look at how the older generation acted out of fear and conditioning, what kind of change do you see as an educator and in working with children and with your UNICEF program? What is changing as far as you see in the philosophy of education?
Well, what I noticed, and especially as a parents who came to me with their children, is that the parents recognize that their child is a unique person with unique gifts and a purpose to live here. And even though school or the society may look at their children because they're trouble, they see it's beautiful, it's special, and it needs its own way of education and its own way of help to develop itself to a fully grown-up person. And I think the parents have more confidence in their child. They're not so ruled by, not so restricted by all kind of rules as our parents were. And I think that's because it's the influence of the new age. Our parents, of course, were of the age of Pisces, and the age of Pisces is about a lot of rules, and it's also about dividing people. And now in the Aquarian age, people are feeling more and more that we're all connected, and that we have to do it together, and we can do it together. And it's not about rules, it's not being and forming organizations, it's being an organism. So if we and our children get the freedom to develop the way they want to, in the way they want to, in their own speed, everything will work out all right.
Annemiek, let me just put a little bit of context here for some of our newer listeners. We were talking about education in the age of Pisces, the age that is ending now for the journey that our planet makes around the heavens, and it comes in contact approximately every 2,150 years with a different sign of the zodiac. This is called the precession of the equinox, for those who are familiar with that term. But for most of us, we have heard that the age of Aquarius is now dawning, and this is actually an astronomical fact. Now, Annemiek was referring to the change in energies that we experience. Each sign of the zodiac, of course, has its own particular character, its own particular coloration, and it brings us in contact with very different kinds of energies. So in the age of Pisces, the the age of Pisces was an age of great idealism, and that's why we had things like, all of our great institutions of banking and hospitals and schooling and all of these things were all founded on very good ideals to begin with. But now, as the age comes to its end and as those energies are being withdrawn, all of these things, as we well know, are falling apart. At the same time are growing the new energies, the inflow, the influx, the ever more speeding relationship we are coming into with the age of Aquarius. And of course, what is the age of Aquarius? It is an age of brotherhood and synthesis. And so this is why, in this age of brotherhood and synthesis, we are having more and more, as Annemiek says, this understanding that the human family is one, and that we are evolving as one group towards our destiny in this age. Mr. Krem says in much of his work, it deals with these new parameters, and he says that, for example, in this new age, most people will become telepathic. This is one of the new gifts that we will develop. According to other literature I've read, people did not necessarily, or very rarely apparently, dreamt in color in the early 1900s. And now, many, if not most of us do, and this has been a development of the human race in this very short period. So it's not surprising to me to hear that we may become a telepathic race during this time because of our understanding of our greater unity as one family. So our children are here to bring us into this new age. And when we come back, we will talk with Annemiek about the role of trust and what discipline can be like in this new time.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
The Awakening of Humanity by Benjamin Krem is a concise, prophetic book about momentous changes soon to occur. It focuses on an unprecedented event, the emergence into full public life of Maitreya, the world teacher. Download the book free online. Visit shareontheairradio.org. That's shareontheairradio.org. shareontheairradio.org.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live United. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. Here we are again with our third segment with natural healing therapist Annemiek van Nijnanten. Yes, Annemiek van Nijnanten, who specializes. These Dutch names. If you were listening during the break, there was mention of one of the free downloadable books, The Awakening of Humanity, which talks about the emergence of Maitreya and the forthcoming plan for humanity in this new age, The Awakening of Humanity. Now, that is one of 4 free downloads available on our Facebook page, Share on the Air Radio, so please feel free to check that out. And now let's get to our topic for this segment, which is talking about the building of trust and the development of self-esteem in young people. Annemiek, as you and I well know, as everybody knows, children today are faced with a lot of very, very serious situations and difficult life situations. We hear of bullying in the schools. We hear of the ferocious competition for places in the better schools. There is the peer pressure to do all kinds of things or not do all kinds of things. They are dealing with a lot. And yet it would seem that society has a lot to do with the creation of this very bad situation for them. What can we say about that? How is society to blame? Where can we take these very serious issues that they're dealing with?
I think the biggest issue is that we have commercialized all life, also the education. And it's happening especially in the more developed countries. And it gives a lot of pressure, not only to children, but also to adults. And children are very sensitive, so they also feel the pressure and the stress of the adults. I think to make a better society and to give the children more possibility to develop in their own way, we need to realize that life is not about effect, let's say, not about financial effects, not about career. It's about life. It's living together and make a wonderful society together in which everyone can flourish and every child can develop their talents. And if they feel they can trust on that, I think you have no problem with children. I think the problems of where adults are talking about of discipline is mostly because children feel that what we are trying to learn them and what they have to be busy with is not the thing they want to be busy with, because they intuitively, how do I say that? Intuitively? Mm-hmm. By intuition, right. They know life is about other things. It's about being happy because they can express their talents, because they can do something worthwhile for the society and they're respected for it and they're valued for it. And if a child feels valued and respected, it grows. It grows instantly. It's happy. And it tries to do better all the way, not by pressure, just by supporting its good efforts.
Well, and yet we hear about so many of our young people taking drugs, drinking, being anorexic, even childhood suicide is on the rise now. There certainly are issues of this nature. So. Any particular comments on that? Why do you think this is happening?
I think it's happening just for the reasons I just called, Diane. That the children feel they're not living a life worthwhile. It doesn't give any satisfaction just to learn facts from the past. To be pushed to do better, to earn a lot, just to have education, to have a career. They need to feel their passion and their passion, their love has to come out. Their love for the things they really think is important, and they need a way to express it and to use it in their lives.
So that brings me to, of course, this topic of trust, because if we trust the children to follow their instincts and learn those things that are of interest to them and of practical value, we help them to develop confidence. So what about how do we instill how do we learn to trust our children? The problem of trust seems to be at the center of everything.
I think if you don't trust yourself, if you don't have self-respect and confidence as an adult, you can't give a child any feeling of trust. it starts all within yourself. So, well, we have a lot of kind of therapies and ways to build up more confidence as an adult. And if you do that, a child will instantly know it. I had an example. Yeah. I heard last week, I spoke to a woman and she told me she had a lot of troubles with her children. And she was following a course in self-development. And she got some advice what to do. She got some meditation. And the moment she came back from the course, she said, all the problems I had with my children were gone. Very typical, but the children she felt different. She felt more at ease. She felt more confident. And so there was peace all of a sudden in the family. So you can do a lot of it yourself. I think you only can do it yourself. And you give a good example to the children. That if you have confidence, a child thinks, okay, I can have it too. Mom has it too. Dad has it too.
Yeah, Maitreya explains this, that children sense a lot. They are more sensing being than logical beings, which comes much later. And he says that the child senses and takes on the insecurity of the parent, for example, the sadness, and blames itself. When it is feeling sadness or anger projected at it, it wonders, well, what did I do? Did I do something wrong that my daddy is angry or my mom is sad or that kind of thing? So it seems that we really have to be careful of that sensing nature of children.
What I always say to the parents who come in my practice with their children or who come alone to my practice, I always say, get away your dirt, get away your troubles, because you can't help your children if you don't get ready with yourself. You have to be clean of everything, all the experiences you had in your life and which trouble you. You have to let them go. You have to accept them and not paying any attention on it anymore, because your children will feel it. And they will have the same troubles you have, just because, even if you don't want to, you pose your, your programmation on your children again. So you can see in one family the same troubles with the parents, the grandparents, and the children again.
Yeah, Maitreya talks about that in the Laws of Life. He talks about conditioning. The parents are conditioned and they come to raise their own children with little more than their own conditioning. And so that conditioning gets passed down from generation to generation and all the follies that go with it. And the other thing I liked you said about getting rid of all of your issues, Annemiek. Another thing that Maitreya says is be a clean mirror.
Yeah. Yeah,
which
that's
is,
a good one.
Exactly what you're saying here. He says be a clean mirror. So with this, this climate of trust, the other thing that Maitreya says is it's extremely important is the development of self-esteem, the sense of self-worth. He says that without this, nothing is possible. So I'd like us to explore this topic, especially because it's the issue of self-esteem, certainly very much in the Western world when we tend to compare ourselves to these airbrushed models and, all of the unrealistic ideals that are presented. It is the issue of self-esteem is a difficult one. So, what in your practice and in your experience, Annemiek, how do you see the issues of self-esteem and building self-esteem in children?
I think when children are born, they are full of self-esteem. They think they're the center of the world, they are perfect as they are, and that's their natural way. So if we, as adults, don't do anything to disturb that, they will keep it. But we have our programmation, and we think we're not okay the way we are because society told us we're not okay we are. And our parents had a lot of criticism on us. So if we want to make a new world, I think the most important thing is that we have to take care that all the self-esteem a little child has keeps it that way. It keeps it that way, it doesn't lose it. We confirm that he's the best it is. And that is not to be high, how do you know it? High, how do you call that, Diane? Arrogant?
How do you call what?
It's not that a child...
Oh.
No arrogance. I don't mean the child is arrogant because it thinks it's okay it is. It's just, it feels it's worthwhile. And that's the most important thing. Because if it does have self-esteem and self-respect, I think it will respect others too. And it will be respectful to other children and other adults because, well, he's a mirror to the world too, then, but a clear mirror.
Right. And then you're not dealing with these very problems of hurtful criticism, for example. People who are always telling their children how to do things or blaming them for doing things wrong, etc., and sort of snapping their joy in that way.
Yes.
This is in part how we were brought up. There was a lot of criticism in generations past.
And they meant well. They meant well.
They meant well.
But it didn't help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stay with us. When we come back, we will be learning a technique taught by Maitreya himself for developing self-awareness. And by that, self-esteem. Share on the Air Radio. Coming back at you on the other side of the break.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance. Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Are you on a spiritual path and want a quick reference guide? Look no further. The booklet Ageless Wisdom Teaching introduces key spiritual concepts, including reincarnation, meditation, and initiation. Download the book free online. Visit shareontheairradio.org for details. That's shareontheairradio.org. shareontheairradio.org.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to, are you? Kids, work, listening to the radio. You're busy, which is great because busy people can't get prediabetes. Oh my, I read that wrong. They can. Should have worn my glasses. So visit doihaveprediabetes.org and take a short test, because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Welcome back. My guest today, Annemiek, is here talking with us about children and adolescents in the New Age, the new forms of education, and how we can, as teachers and parents, help them forward into the world. Children, Maitreya says in his book, The Laws of Life, that even children are beginning to challenge the adult world as they respond to the energies of the New Age. He says, for example, that in every country, children of soldiers are questioning their fathers about the morality of killing others in their name. Children everywhere are saying that they want to see friendship, humanity, and goodwill throughout the world. And we hear this very, very often. Maitreya says that the young will rebel against the ideologies of the old, and their demands will have impact. And we see that in the marches that are happening in our streets week after week now, following this new sense of direction. Children are more fearless these days, Annemiek, don't you think, as part of the New Age energies?
So. Yeah, I think so. And I think that's also a result of the way we are parents in these days, as we told about previously. Oh, God, English. Sorry. But
previously.
I think previously. I think they dare to do a lot. And it shows that the system is changing already a little bit. That schools are freer as they were before, that parents are having more confidence in themselves and their children more, and so they can give their children the freedom to be careless, to just try to live. We are only here to experience life. That's the only purpose we are here. And we have to be the best person we can be and help our children to be the best persons they can be. And we are always proud of our children, aren't we?
That's for sure. Maitreya says that children are particularly good teachers today because they lack isms. They no longer care for capitalism, communism, Christianism. Well, maybe not Christianity. That's a different one. Oh, this English language. But all of these isms. All of these isms, nationalism, socialism, all of these isms are structures of the mind and structures of the ego that in many ways imprison us. We are not a socialist. We are not a communist. We are not a commercialist. We are souls in incarnation. We are people. And sometimes we get caught up in these isms, which no longer are having so much effect on the children.
That's a good thing.
We did want to, I brought up the mechanism that Maitreya has actually been given out to help people to discover who they truly are, and to come in greater contact with the indwelling soul that each of us is. And so I'd like to share that with our audience before we leave. It is called A Prayer for the New Age, and it is a great mantra or affirmation which invokes the power of the indwelling soul. The most effective way to use this mantra is to say or think the words with focused will. This is important, to focus the will on the words, because that creates intent, that creates concentration, that creates drive. And in focusing on these words, to hold the attention at the ajna center, which is in the system of energetic chakras that many of you will be familiar with. The ajna center is the center between the eyebrows, the energetic center in the human constitution, which is responsible for purpose. So holding that attention there and repeating this mantra seriously every day, Maitreya says that in doing this, if you do this, there will grow inside of you a realization of your true self. So I would like to share that mantra with you now. I will read it for you, and you can also find it on our Facebook page, along with references to the Share International website, where there are many, many different other things that you can find out about this prayer. So for those of you who would like to join with me now, I will just make it known to you as our audience. And so I ask you to just take a couple of deep breaths and become centered while I recite for you the prayer for the new age given by Maitreya. And it goes like this. I am the creator of the universe. I am the father and mother of the universe. Everything comes from me. Everything shall return to me. Mind, spirit, and body are my temples, for the self to realize in them my supreme being and becoming.
Well, that's beautiful.
So, yeah, I invite our listeners to go and actually see the words for themselves. This is not some kind of narcissistic, I am the king of the world type thing. This is a true understanding of our nature, our soul nature as gods in becoming. This is who we truly are. And so with these words, recited seriously every day, can grow a greater self, the realization of who your greater self and what your greater purpose is. So I invite people to go check that out. You'll find it on our Facebook page, Share on the Air Radio, and there are, as I said, links there that will take you to the website, share-international.org, where there is plenty of information on this topic. We're getting close to wrap-up time, Annemiek, so I just want to invite our listeners, if you enjoyed our show today but missed the first show with my guest Annemiek, be sure to check out Welcome the Little Ones, Part 1, where we talked about how the energies of Maitreya are influencing the awareness of children and how children are different and more conscious today. As we've been talking, more and more of them are showing an intuitive grasp of how we should treat one another in the Aquarian age. Many of them have answers to our greatest problems today and are speaking with a clear voice on how to govern ourselves, our societies, and our world more equitably. So do check this out as well. And there is so much to be said on the topic of the power and the clarity of youth today. Annemiek, do you have any take-home points for our listeners? Any last words you would like to share with us?
Well, I think if you've heard the prayer for the new age and you think, well, is that true? Just look at your children. Just look at your children, how they get along, how they play, how they get along with one another, how confident they are, how loving they are. And you'll know it's true.
Absolutely. As we were mentioning, another thing Maitreya has said about that is when you look at the children, you are inspired by their grace, their peace and happiness, because their mind, spirit, and body are free from isms. Go out and look at the faces of the children. This is a special generation. So Maitreya concurs with you greatly, Annemiek.
Yeah, I totally agree. Most beautiful thing on earth, the children.
I invite our listeners to consult the magazine Share International, which you will find online at the website www.share-international.org. There is a subscription hard copy available, but also the abridged version every month. And very often there are interviews with luminaries, people who have caught the tone for the New Age. And there are many reports there on young people speaking out. Everyone has heard of Malala, the Taliban girl, but there are so many others here who are really, really making a difference, these young voices, this youth at the helm, as Benjamin Krem's master talks about. He is very, very, very engaged in the monthly message that he used to deliver as a Master of Wisdom through his contact with Benjamin Krem, who was, until his passing last year, chief editor of Share International magazine. So as there is very, very much inspiration there, I invite you to read those messages from a perfected Master of the Wisdom and to learn more about our great potential as children, as adolescents, as adults at this very, very critical time in history. Thank you very much for being with us today on Share on the Air Radio. We share thoughtful views behind the news, and we'll be back with you next time. Bye for now. Thank you, Annemiek.